Hi again. We've just introduced the concept of indices, and now we are going to talk about the rules of indices. Let's find more space below. Okay, so now we're going to talk about rules. The rules of indices. Okay, the rules of indices can be categorized in various forms, but first let's categorize in terms of same base, same power, and one more category, let's put it as others. Okay, let's create some space here. And here we go. So the first rule of indices is a to power m multiplied by a to power n. Okay, now do you see that they have the same base? The base is a, the power is m, and n. They are different, but if it's the same base, multiply, what we're gonna get is a, which is the same base, and multiply just means add the powers, so it's m plus n. Alright, so that is the first rule. It looks a bit weird at first, but let's give you some examples later. So in the second rule, we have a to power m divided by a to power n. And what will you get? Okay, first you note that it's the same base. Let me just put a triangle here. And the powers are different. And we have a divide sign. So if it's divide, we remember it's minus. So what we'll get is a m minus n. Oh, maybe I should use the same color over here so that we can remember minus n. Okay, so sometimes they might not write it as in this form. You can also write it as a to power m divided by a to power n. So you see the word, the sign n, the division sign, it just looks like the minus sign. So that's maybe one way you can remember it. Alright, so divide means minus. Multiply just looks like plus, and yeah, you just need to tilt this. Okay, so we are done with if they have the same base. Now let's move on. What happens if they have the same power? So if this is base A and the base is different, so it's B, but the power is the same. So let's say the power is m and the power is m. Okay, and let me just write this twice because it'll be the same thing. Okay, so first, if it's a multiply, what are we gonna get? Okay, in this case, the power is the same. So the third rule of indices is we take a times b, which is ab, open the bracket, and put the power outside. So it's a multiplied by b, put the power outside. Now, what happens if it's a to power m divided by b to power m? So here, they have the same power. I'm just going to put power here. Yeah. And if it's divide, if you guess it right, it's just divide. Just put a bracket and put the power outside. There you have it. So we have covered 4 rules of indices. Now there's others that do not fall very closely to whether it's same base or same power. And this is the next example. It's very simple. It's just a to power 0. This is 0. Maybe let me write it again because it doesn't look so good. 0. So anything to power 0 is 1. So you can have example, I'll give my examples later. You can have 1000 to power 0 and it's still 1. So that is the 5th rule of indices. Now the 6th rule of indices is if you have a power that is negative. Now if you have negative power, what you can do is to get rid of this negative, we are going to flip the base. Okay, negative power, flip the base. And this is what's going to happen. Flip this, it'll be 1 over a. Let's put a bracket here. And instead of the power being negative, the power is going to be positive. Okay, I mean, you don't need the bracket if you don't want to. It's cosmetic. Okay, the next rule of indices is if you have indices in terms of a fraction. It's a to power of m over n. So this is a fraction. It will be in terms of a surd format. Okay, I'll introduce what surds in other videos. And you have a over here. The top power just goes over right here, and the bottom power just goes over here. So one common example that we often see is that if we have square root of 2, it just means a. Okay, oops, sorry, I should not put this. Oops, eraser. Yeah, if it's square root 2, is the base is 2. Okay, and this is 1 here, and this 1 over 2. But usually we don't put 2 over here because square root just means there's a 2 here and it's imaginary. So other examples, if you have square root 4, it just means there's a 1 and 2 here, and then this is 4 to the power of half. Okay, and if you have other examples, it will just be, let's say, 8, and then this is cubic root, there's a 3 here. So what this means is there's a 1 here, and then 8, and to the power of 1 over 3. We'll give you more examples in the other videos. And one more final rule that I want to introduce. It doesn't really fall under any of these categories, so I can park it under others, but let me just remove and create some space here. So the next rule is number 8. If you have a to power m and there's another power outside the brackets, what you do is just multiply the powers. So you have m times n, and your answer will be a m n. Okay, so we have introduced the 8 rules of indices, and in the next video we're going to give you some examples. So see you there.